What could have been? Alex Galchenyuk edition. After a horrible season in 2011-2012, the Montreal Canadiens finished 31-35-4 and had a chance to go into the NHL entry draft and try to get a top 3 player. Now, the Canadiens did secure the 3rd overall pick and had the choice of picking a center, which they really needed back then. With the center depth being pretty bad in Montreal with only David Desharnais and Thomas Plekanec in the 2011-2012 season, the Canadiens had a choice to pick the Milwaukee-born yet Russian native Alex Galchenyuk, who was seen as a top offensive option with a lethal shot and a premier stick handling ability. Now, will the Canadiens finally get their top center they've been waiting for almost 20 years, or this will be the cycle of not getting one? Well, in this case where history wrote itself, it did not happen. This is a story of Alex Galchenyuk after the draft. After a flaming season with the Sarnia Sting and leading his team as the centerman in the OHL, he finished with 27 goals, 34 assists, 61 points for 33 games. Now, the Canadian fans and the management had high expectations, and it did pay off. In that season in 2012-2013, in a shortened lockout season, the Canadiens did make the playoffs after missing it last year, and Galchenyuk led the way with 9 goals, 18 assists for 27 points in 48 games and a plus 14 in his rookie season. Now, during the lockout season, Alex Galchenyuk did decide to play for Team USA in the World Junior Championship under 20 with likes of Johnny Gaudreau, Jacob Trouba, JT Miller, Seth Jones. He did finish 4th in points with 2 goals and 6 assists for 7 games. A good company to be with, and the Canadiens fans were very excited of this kid's potential. Now, he had a chance to make a full season. He did go in the 2013-2014 season with high expectations. In 65 games, he did go on a career high in 13 goals, 18 assists for 31 points. And with the playoffs even last year, he had 6 points in total in 10 games. What the Montreal Canadiens needed, a player who can be a difference maker on offense and can appear in the playoffs. This is where things get really interesting. In the 2014-2015 season, he played 80 games for 46 points, 20 goals, 26 assists, and a plus 8. Now, in the playoffs, he only had 4 points in 12 games, but he was still a plus 1. Now, going to his 4th and 5th season, these were career highs for Alex Galchenyuk. But in 2015-2016, Canes just missed on the playoffs. He had a career high, hit the 30-goal mark and 26 assists for 56 points in 82 games. Now, in this season, Alex Galchenyuk put himself on the radar for any NHL team and was looking to make a huge impact on the future of the Canadiens. Now, Alex Galchenyuk was as hot as a freaking house burning down. I don't know what the hell that means. In his last 22 games in that exact season, 2015-2016, in his last 22 games with the Habs, he put up 16 goals. So more than half of his goals came in the end of the season, and people were really hyped to see what he was going to do next season. Now, question is for Alex Galchenyuk was always, can he play center? He was struggling at the position, the most important position for me in hockey, and also goaltending. He couldn't win draws. He wasn't good defensively. He couldn't play. He was only gliding in his own zone. So they did decide to put him on the wing sometimes the center, even trying on the 4th line. So this was not a good period for Galchenyuk after a strong 2015-2016 season. Now, the Habs did make the playoffs. He went for 44 points in only 61 games, which was pretty huge for him. And in the playoffs, he did get 3 assists and 6 games. So Alex Galchenyuk was always there in the playoffs, not putting up high numbers, but still able to contribute for his team. Now, this horrific season in the plus-minus in 2017-2018, a struggling Montreal Canadiens, he did put up 19 goals, 32 assists for 51 points, which is actually his second best season after the 2015-2016 season. He did play all games, but a minus 31, which was pretty bad. He did almost lead the team in points with only Brendan Gallagher right above him with 54 points. In 2015, Alex Galchenyuk, with the help of Marc Bergevin, signed a 2-year data value of $5.6 million, hitting $2.8 million each year for only 2 seasons, which was his first big contract. And Marc Bergevin had hopes for him, but did not go long term as he wasn't sure if he was going to pan out. After his bad season with a minus 31, he did sign a 3-year contract worth $4.9 million each at a total value of $14.7 million on July 5th by Mark Bergevin. Now, this would be the last good thing Alex Galchenyuk would happen to him probably in his NHL career, as he gets traded for Max Domi in a swap to the Phoenix or Arizona Coyotes as they are now. Now, in his first season with the Coyotes, he didn't do too bad, but wasn't the best. In 72 games, he had 19 goals, and 22 assists for 41 points, and still a minus 19. He was a third leading scorer right behind Clint Keller, who was a young winger/centerman, and Oliver Ekman-Larsson. But the Arizona Coyotes didn't have that much offensively, so you can't really blame on this season. The offense was non-existent. They had no defense. They had freaking Josh Archibald and Nick Cousins as their 8th best point scorer, and Brad Richardson. So you can't really blame the guy. In a new city, in a new team, new system, wasn't the best. After that one season, that was the only thing that happened to Alex Galchenyuk in Arizona until a few years later, as a trade would happen. He got swapped for Phil Kessel, Dane Burks, and a 4th-round pick, which turned into Rasmus Koronen, and he was traded with Pierre-Olivier Joseph, so he was in a swap deal. Now, he did join the Pittsburgh Penguins, which was pretty exciting, as he would have a chance to play alongside with Evgeny Malkin and Sid the Kid. And the disappointment would continue. In only 45 games with the Pittsburgh Penguins, did only put up 5 goals and 12 assists for only 17 points. It took him 15 games to score his first goal against the Calgary Flame with the Penguins, so him being in Pittsburgh wasn't a good fit. Trying to learn a new system, being alongside Crosby. Did try him out with Crosby, Malkin, didn't work. He couldn't blossom in Pittsburgh. And this is the 3rd trade again. He got acquired by the Minnesota Wild with Kalen Addison and a 1st-round pick in exchange for Jason Zucker. This is his 3rd trade in 3 years, so that must not been fun for him to move cities every time. But in his stint with Minnesota Wild, he did get 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points in 14 games. Also in the playoffs, 4 playoff games. They did get swept, but he didn't really do much. He didn't get a single point. Now, Minnesota Wild did not choose to re-sign him. He did go to the free agency market, which he signed with the Ottawa Senators, one of the worst teams in the NHL, so not a good place to be again. He signed at a 1-year, $1.05 million contract. Again, with the Ottawa Senators, he only played 8 games for 1 goal, 0 assists in the bubble. So that is about it. Right after that, another trade happened. He got dealt with Cedric Parquet to go to the Carolina Hurricanes for Ryan Dzingel. Then he got dealt 2 days later to the Toronto Maple Leafs for David Warsofsky and Yegor Korshkov. I don't know any of these players, but he went to Toronto in the bubble. Now, with the Maple Leafs, he did have a little resurgence. In 26 games, he got 4 goals, 8 assists for 12 points, but still non-numbers he's been producing with Montreal. He's never been there. He's never done it since, and he was still a -2. In the playoffs, he did get 1 goal, 3 assists. He only played in the first round because, the Maple Leafs blew a 3-1 lead, and yeah, he gave away that puck to Nick Suzuki 2-on-1 with Cole Caulfield, and yeah, that's where the comeback starts. So thank you, Galchenyuk, for being a Montreal Canadiens spy. And then he went to the AHL a bit during the season with 6 games, 2 goals, 6 assists for 8 points, so not that much. Now, again, he was a free agent, and you know what? Bill Armstrong said, I want to sign Alex Galchenyuk one more time at a $750K contract for 1 year, and this is his last season. As we know right now, in 60 games, he hasn't played more than 60 games since the Pittsburgh days. He hasn't played 60 games, on one team since the first time he joined the Arizona Coyotes, and he got 6 goals, 15 assists for 21 points on the 2nd worst team in the NHL. Now, at least they had Clint Keller, who almost put up a point per game. They had Phil Kessel, Nick Schmaltz, Shin Gostisbehere, Travis Boyd, but not a good team at all. So Galchenyuk was pretty much a guaranteed top 9 player, top 6 centerman/winger, so not getting a lot of points. Again, he was another minus player. So as of now, that is what Galchenyuk has been done his whole season. The promising days as being drafted by the Canadiens, having some strong season, 20, 30 goals seasons, never came to fruition later on in his career. He's back in Arizona after being dealt. You know what? I have to go check how many times he got traded. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's been traded 5 times in his 9 years in the NHL. That is a lot for a player. Now, what was wrong with Alex Galchenyuk? Now, I think personally is the lack of defensive ability, which cost him a lot in his career, as he would always float in the defensive end, not being always a liability on the ice. And it shows in his stats. He was always a minus player, except his rookie year and in 2014, 2015. And I think that's about it. I guess he was a +2 in Minnesota, but that's about it. So when he played at least 40 games, he was a plus player only for the Montreal Canadiens. So that is what was his main issue, and also the lack of consistency. And you know what? Early on in his career, he felt at home in Montreal, had his issues coaching-wise with dealt on the fourth line, but once he got traded, that's when it spiraled down. Getting traded every couple of games, every half season is struggling for a player, because you're on a new team and you got to learn a new system, different coaches, different players, different cities. He even played in front of 5,000 people in Arizona. How depressing would that be? Jesus Christ. So Galchenyuk once a promising star, and again, that entry draft with Nelly Yakupov at number 1 might be one of the worst drafts ever. Is Galchenyuk a bust? I mean, your top 3, yes, but he's still an NHL player. He's still capable to put up somewhat points, and when he's putting up points, that's when you need him. And he's not there defensively, so being on a third line, putting up points would be ideal for him. He's not a top 6 anymore. I think he's pretty much a third or a 2B lineman, and that's about it. That's what I think personally. His days with Montreal were pretty fun. He used to be my favorite player back then, but the lack of consistency, not being able to play defensively, and him being dealt every 2 seconds has worn on him and has fallen him. He has the potential. He had the potential, but now being at, how old is he? 28 years old? I think the growing is pretty much done, man. So hopefully Alex Galchenyuk could pick it up. This is what we've been saying every year, but I actually do hope he gets somewhat like 40 points if he plays a full healthy season, go back on track. But at this point, I think it's safe to say it ain't happening, because he's not a top 6 anymore. But yeah, guys, this was the first video on what could have been. If you got any suggestions on who do you want me to do next, this was pretty fun to make. It took me a while too, so if you would like to sub and like the video, that'd be greatly appreciated. I do try my best on these videos. I probably missed some stuff. This took me a long time to record because I kept screwing up. Anyways, thank you guys so much for the support, man, and see you goose in the next video. Peace, 2DL.